What is up, everybody? Welcome to Pub Sports Radio and welcome to the DFS Picks and Prediction Show. I am here with Weezy and AJ. We're going to be breaking down UFC Vegas 44. Rob Font going against José Aldo from a DFS perspective. We'll start with you, Weezy. Weezy, how was your week off?
It was great. I had COVID. I got it the day after the last card, so it was a great week of rest for me. I slept like 14 hours a day, took a ton of vitamins, drank a bunch of fluids, and my immune system 10-8'd that shit. It's over. It's out of me. I'm ready to go. I'm fucking chomping at the bit to get back at it this week, man. I got a chip on my shoulder. I'm ready to make some money.
Yeah, you kicked COVID's ass, man. It wasn't even close. AJ, how about you? How was your week off?
Yeah, I didn't earn a 10-8 round like Uncle Weezy did, but it was well-deserved. Nice to get a little break. We were talking beforehand. We're at the home stretch, 3 more UFC events to close out the year, but we feel like that break there with Thanksgiving was much needed. So feel rejuvenated, refreshed, and excited to talk about this card from a DFS perspective with you guys.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Definitely looking to finish the year strong. I know you, AJ, and you, Weezy, would like that as well. But yeah, before we get into it, guys, if you guys can please leave a like on the video. Also, subscribe here to Pub Sports Radio. We go live every Tuesday, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Me and Weezy go live on Sunday for Stat Tickers as well. So make sure you are subscribed so not miss out on all of that and all the other sports that the guys at Pub Sports Radio do cover. So I say we get right into it. As always, we'll start with the fight to target. No Luke this week. He'll be back next week, but we have Weezy, me, and AJ giving our best fight to target here. We'll start with you, Weezy. What is your fight to target for UFC Vegas 44?
Yeah, this was one super easy. I'm taking the easiest one here, the easiest way out. It's going to be Crute Hill. It is the absolute best fight. Doesn't go to decision prop on the card. Minus 303 is where it is on the aggregate in terms of this fight finishing inside the distance right now on the aggregate, according to best fight odds. And Crute should wrestle here. We saw Crute kind of pull a stunt last time out against Anthony Smith, where he just he kept it standing. And Anthony Smith is the kind of guy that you can easily take down and easily hold down, but Crute chose not to go that route. He chose to stand with somebody who's got really nice hands, wound up getting his legs shut down. Then he started to wrestle, but it was too late. So I think that if Crute does pull another stunt here, this fight will finish inside the distance with Hill knocking him out, Hill. But consequently, on the other side, Crute, if he does fight smart, should be taking this guy down easily, working for submissions, and probably gets it done inside the distance by submission. So whoever wins this fight, I think, is going to get it done inside the distance and score an absolute ton of points. I can't wait for this fight. It's going to be a great one.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Cannot wait for that fight as well. AJ, how about you? What is your favorite fight to target this week?
Yeah, I'm going to go a little bit off the board. I'm going to go with the Leonardo Santos versus Clay Guida fight. One thing that's interesting to me, I don't think Santos will be as popular as some of the other options. Jim Crute, we'll get into some other ones later, but he's at 8,800 and he's an excellent submission grappler. And we know Guida, he gets submitted a bunch of times. In 21 losses, Guida has been submitted 10 times. This fight does hit the ground. I think Santos is live to earn a choke. He also, again, just carries like that very boomer bust type mix. And if he doesn't finish Guida early, I think Guida will take over late. Guida's got a big cardio advantage. As we know, he could go 3 rounds hard, whereas we have seen Santos gas in the past, most notably that last fight against Dawson, where there was maybe a debatable 10-8 prior to the knockout. But ultimately, I see this as like an early Santos, late versus Guida fight. And even if Guida wins the decision, that's like higher paced. He's 7,400, so we don't exactly need a lot of him, or a big score out of him, rather. So I'm willing to take my chances on Guida and Santos as a lower-owned GPP target.
Yep, definitely makes sense to me. I think Santos is going to, like you said, have a lot of success early, potentially finish. And if not, we have seen him slow down, massively in his past couple fights. For me, it looks like we're all three going to go with something different. For me, I went with Claudio Puelles going against Gruetzemacher. The reason being, I think whoever is able to implement their game plan, especially at these price tags, has a very good chance of finding the optimal lineup. Say if it's Puelles, his game plan is going to be getting this fight down to the mat. Gruetzemacher does have a 61% takedown defense. He has been finished in all 4 of his losses, 3 by submission. So I think if Puelles wins, it's takedowns, it's control time, it's a possible sub. Whereas I think if Gruetzemacher wins at 8,200, he's going to be stuffing takedowns. He's going to be throwing a ton of volume. He lands nearly 7 significant strikes per minute, and we have seen Puelles knocked out before. So I just think whoever's going to be able to implement their game plan, whether it is Puelles at 8K, I think he scores very well, or if Gruetzemacher is able to implement his game plan at 8,200, I think he scores well also. So that was cool to see. We all have 3 different fights that we're going to be targeting this week. What is up in the chat? We have Sean in the chat. Let's go, Brady. Let's go, Sean. He's also saying Weezy 2024. Yes, Weezy is running for president. He knows I have his vote. BP early prediction for Sugar versus Paiva. We'll touch on that at the end of the show. Brian saying, sup, Brady. What is up, Brian? Is Brian saying Uncle Weezy? Block saying wanted to like Paiva, but just don't think he's the guy. Talking about the Paiva Sugar fight. Yeah, I cannot wait for that one. I think that's next week. This is a great card for betting, fellas. Yeah, I think it's pretty solid. Fiziev Riddell going to be a war? Yes, it is. And a bloodbath. There you go. All right, so we'll keep moving on to the fight to fade. I'll kick this one off. For me, my fight to fade is going to be Manel Kape going against Zhalgas Zhumagulov. I really like Kape to win this fight. The only problem with him is I think, especially from a Draftkings standpoint, I think for him to have success at 9,400 and find the optimal lineup, I think he's going to have to get a first-round knockout or first-round submission. I don't know if that's too likely. Zhalgas is a very tough guy. He's been finished 1 time in 19 fights. And if Kape is not able to get that first-round finish, if it does get extended, he's just so low volume at times that I'm not sure he can pay off that $9,400 price tag. But what I will say, he has like a 94% finish rate, finishing 15 out of his 60 wins. So a finish could happen. But, there's a lot more guys I like in that price tag. I like Brendan Allen, who's 200 more, and I like Crute, who I think is like 200 less as well. So, yeah, I'm going to be fading this fight for the most part. Like, even if Zhalgas wins, maybe he's able to, outstrike Kape, a low volume affair. But I think Kape gets it done. But I'm not sure he pays up that 9,400. So that's going to be my fight to fade. AJ, how about you? What fight are you fading for this week?
Yeah, it's got to be Kape and Zhumagulov as well. I'm with you. I think Kape should win. I think he's got a distinct athleticism, hand speed advantage. But for him to pay off that price, I think he needs to get an early knockout. I mean, look, it's possible. You pointed out Zhumagulov, he has been knocked out in the past, back in 2015. He also has been rocked on the regional. So, again, it's there. It's just, when we watch Kape fight, he's just so passive in those striking exchanges, willing to wait, willing to counter, and just sort of like explode. So, we're well aware of his upside. He does carry an okay finish prop. Time recording this here, he's plus 175 at the book I'm looking at here. That is, again, it's not like he has zero chance of doing it, but it's just a very knockout or bust type fighter. Not something I want to target heavily in GPPs. I just think that there's better options.
It looks like we are on the same page there. Weezy, how about you? You go on the same route, or is there another fight that does stick out to you there?
Yeah, for me, I'm fading Fiziev Riddell. Even though the salaries are mid-range, which I like, this fight has the second worst fight doesn't go to decision line on the slate. And we both know that both of these guys don't tend to grapple that much. I mean, Riddell will be the one that goes to the grappling more than Fiziev, but we've seen Fiziev hold up with 100% takedown defense thus far in the UFC. So if there's one fight on this card that has the highest potential to not only not finish inside the distance, but be at striking range almost the entire time, it would be this one. So second worst ITD prop, fight doesn't go to decision prop on the slate, mostly a striking affair. Those are the kind of fights I like to fade.
Yeah, definitely makes sense. I don't really see either guy getting takedowns. If anything, it's Riddell, but like you said, Fiziev 100% takedown defense, and I'm with you. I see it going to decision as well. PN saying, what is up, stat guys? What is up, PM? Preston saying, will they put the Barberena fight up against a short notice opponent? Yeah, I think they will. And then also we are missing the salaries for the Mirzakhanov and Vandera fight as well. So we're missing salaries right now for 2 fights, but I'm hoping they get those out fairly soon. So we'll keep moving on. This is going to be our fighter to fade. We'll start with you, Weezy. What is your fighter to fade for this week?
Okay, I just added Cheyanne Vlismas to the list. That's the last one that I had a problem kind of figuring out who I wanted to fade here. So what I'll usually do is I'll try to find somebody that's got a much worse inside the distance prop than a bunch of people with lower salaries. So for instance, Cheyanne right now, with her salary being $9,000, in order to find a fighter that has a worse inside the distance prop than Cheyanne, you'd have to go all the way down to $8,000, or I think actually $7,900 with Brad Riddell. So, obviously, she's a little bit overpriced for her finish prop where it's at right now. Add in the fact that she's taking this fight on short notice and that there seems to be some personal issues going on with her relationship. It's hard to know where she's going to be taking the fight on short notice. So she's a big favorite here. Maybe Mallory Martin's getting better, but I think it's just it's too much to pay right now for a girl in Cheyanne who's got a lot of question marks around her. I wouldn't straight up fade the fight because I think there's some value on Martin here, and I think that you could get with Vlismas getting that early finish in her last outing. This could be a potential for a high leverage play if she does have a good performance. But really, just on the aggregate, I think she has one of the lowest chances to finish her fight for the high salary fighters. So I'm going to be probably staying away from her.
Yep, makes sense. I'm right there with you. I went with Cheyanne Vlismas as well. 9,000. I'd rather go up and get a Crute, somebody like that up in that range. She's more than likely not going to get takedowns. I think she can if she wants to, but that's only playing into Mallory Martin's game. I think she's going to be able to stuff takedowns, keep it on the feet, outstrike Martin, win a decision. But I don't know how well it's going to score at 9,000. So this was pretty easy for me. I'm going to be able to fade Cheyanne Vlismas here at 9K. How about you, AJ? What do you fade in this week?
For me, it's going to be Alex Morono at 9,500, and there's a few different reasons for this. When we're used to seeing fighters priced this highly, it's they're big favorites. Sometimes minus 400 or 500. Tyler Santos comes to mind. Last slate she wasn't as highly priced, but she was actually a bigger favorite. So you could argue that there's actually negative odds value on Morono, and we know Morono at this point. He rarely goes for takedowns. He's like a volume striker. Yeah, sure, he's reasonably dangerous in theory. He could knock Gall out, but plus 275 inside distance line kind of falls under the same category as Kape for me. Like, he is higher volume, but he still most likely needs an early finish. There are improvements that we've seen out of Gall. He's just so young, and he looked arguably better than ever last time against Williams. So there's definitely a lot of credence to Gall just fighting tough, fighting for all 3 rounds, maybe even taking Morono down a few times, in which case it'll be very hard for him to produce a high score. But yeah, for me, it's going to be Morono. I just think he has a limited path to putting up a tremendous score considering his price.
Yeah, I'm with you there. He's typically, more of a decision guy. I don't know if he finishes Gall. Jack Attack in the chat saying, oi, what is up, Jack Attack? How you doing? We'll keep moving on here. We have our favorite dog. We'll start with you, Weezy. Do you have a favorite dog this week?
Yeah, I do. And it's somebody that's not even on the slate yet, but I'm looking at Jared Vanderaa here. So we don't have a salary for him. That's unfortunate, but we're going to get him added to the salary list here, I'm sure, pretty soon. But there's a couple of reasons to like this dude. And one of them is just the massive size advantage that he's going to have here. I was talking with Brady about this. This fight makes no sense at all. It makes no sense. How do you give a guy that's coming in at 205 pounds in Azamat Murzakanov, who's already a small light heavyweight, and then when his opponent pulls out in a very predictable fashion, you have no plan B. And then what you do is you give him a heavyweight that cuts weight to make 265. How the fuck is this fair for Azamat? He's going to be at a 9-inch reach disadvantage. He's going to be like 6 inches shorter than this dude. And these guys aren't even close to being in the same weight class. So there's a lot of reasons to like Vanderaa here, and not to mention Murzakanov's conditioning is contemptible. It's really bad. And it's a function of how he fights. If you watch the way he fights, he's constantly darting in and out. Every punch, every kick is thrown with 100% force. So it's not the kind of style that's meant to go more than 1 round. He finishes his opponents very early, but this guy Vandeera's got a head like an Easter Island statue. He could take a ton of punishment. And if Murzakanov doesn't get, if this fight gets out of the first round and Vanderaa gets on top of this dude, he's going to drown him. So I do like Vanderaa here. I think he's going to be very cheap. He should be easily less than like 75, 7,400. And I think there's a lot of upside here for him. So yeah, I'm going to be looking at Jared Vanderaa as my favorite dog this week.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm curious to see where they do put the prices because Vanderaa is also a guy I'm looking at, and then also Wells, who's fighting Barberena. I think he's probably going to be a dog, and I'm curious to see what his price is as well. So those are 2 guys I'm looking at that we don't have prices on right now. For me, my favorite dog is going to be Claudio Puelles. Talked about it a little bit. He's going to be 10 years younger. He's going to have a massive height advantage, a 4-inch reach advantage as well. Going to be a much bigger fighter, the much younger fighter. I think that's important. Training with killers at Sanford MMA. I feel like if he comes out here and fights a smart game plan, which I do expect him to do, because he's a smart fighter. He knows what he's good at, and he's a grappler. His wrestling's good. Gruetzemacher, he gets taken down so easily, 61% takedown defense. And again, he's been sub 3 times. So I'm going to go with Puelles. I think there is some slight line value on him now. He's 8,000. I think last time I checked, Puelles was like minus 113. So money's coming in on him there. So I'm going to take Puelles as my favorite dog there at 8K. AJ, how about you? Who's your favorite dog this week?
Yeah, touched on her beforehand, but Mallory Martin at 7,200, plus 160 underdog. That's, technically there's some odds value there. And, the fight is projected to go the distance, meaning that, she theoretically has a safe floor, even in a loss. And we have seen buys taken down in the past. We have seen her controlled. I think she has decent takedown defense, but not great. I do think that Martin has wrestling capabilities here. She can land takedowns, earn top position, and win a decision. Even if she wins a decision for her price point, that's fine. She doesn't really need 100 points to be on the optimal lineup. And just most importantly, she's a value play. So on a slate where there's just a lot of different intriguing underdog options, I think that, Martin just offers one of the better, choices in terms of just like she could go the distance. She could land some takedowns if she survives. And then, she could score reasonably fine in a win or loss. So I think she's viable in cash and GPPs.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that price tag on Martin is nuts. 7,200. I feel like the fight should be lined a lot closer in general, and then especially on DraftKings. Like, that's pretty crazy. So I'm with you. I think there's a lot of value there on Martin, especially on DK. See what we got in the chat here. Jack liking Gall to get it done. Brian saying William Knight is a lock. Well, Brian liking William Knight as a dog there. Yeah, I'll definitely have some Knight as a dog for sure. But we'll move on to our favorite GPP play. We're looking for somebody with some high upside, a high ceiling here. And for me, I'm going to go with Jimmy Crute. Weezy talked about it a little bit. I think if Crute comes in here with a good game plan of getting this fight down to the mat, I think he's going to put up a very good score. This is somebody in Jimmy Crute who got 8 takedowns in the matter of like 3 minutes against Mikel Olazechuk. And I feel like, what we have seen from Hill is his takedown defense is very bad. Got taken down 6 times by Darko Stosic and like very easily. So yeah, I think if Hill's able to get this fight down to the mat, I think there's going to be a huge discrepancy in terms of the skill at grappling. Crute is a legit, I believe he's a black belt in BJJ, whereas Hill is only a blue belt, just got submitted in his last fight against Paul Craig. And we saw that Jimmy Crute was able to dominate Paul Craig for the most part and end up finishing him in that 3rd round. So give me Jimmy Crute. I think he has a ton of upside if he comes in here and fights smart. AJ, how about you? Who's your favorite GPP play?
I'm going to go with Louis Smolka. It's 8,500. First fight of the night. We know that fight generally gets overlooked. People just aren't as inclined to target it because they would rather have more bullets in the chamber, so to speak. They'd rather be chasing rather than being chased in GPP, so to speak. But Smolka, when you look at him historically in DraftKings, he scores very well when he wins. It's because he's, not the most defensively responsible fighter, but offensively, he goes for it. He fights at a high pace. On the feet, he'll go for takedowns. He has a judo background. He looks to scramble excessively on the ground. And we have seen Morales taken down a bunch of times, his opponent, and even give up easy rear naked chokes, a la Contender Series to Domingo Pilardi. It's been taken down by Ayman Zahabi. I know that Smolka isn't the greatest wrestler, but I do think he has it within himself to get this fight to the floor, and where in turn he could rack up control time, just look to advance position, potentially take Morales' back. Morales, we have seen him get his back taken more than once. So I'm really liking Smolka here. I generally target his fights heavily because of the style that he fights. Either he wins and puts up a big score, or his opponent generally smokes him and then they put up a big score. So just either way you slice it, I just like to target Smolka fights. And it's even better that it's the first fight of the night here where it could potentially get an ownership discount.
Nice. I like it. Weezy, how about you?
Yeah, I love that Smolka pick. He brings such a chaotic style to the cage. I was watching tape on him earlier today and just thinking, man, this guy is DraftKings gold. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're Smolka or his opponent. He just pushes a pace the entire time. So that's a great pick. I'm going with Zoe Menafield here, though. 3rd best first round prop on the card right now for Alonzo Menafield. And he has a top 5 inside the distance line as well, despite the fact his salary is the 8th highest here. So, we got a lot of value in terms of finish upside, in terms of inside the distance upside here for a guy that does finish a lot of his fights. And then he's got a ton of power too, does Menafield. And the implied probability of this fight finishing inside the distance right now is at 67%. So I think either way you go, whether it's Menafield or whether it's Knight as a value play, this is a good one to target, but I do think that Menafield's power is going to be the big difference in this fight, and I think he'll probably get Knight out of there early. Sorry, Brian. I know Brian said Knight was a lock, but I got to go with Menafield here.
Yeah, I'm on the Menafield side myself. Not with a ton of confidence, but I will be playing both sides on DK, that's for sure. So we'll go now to our favorite cash play. We'll start with you, AJ. What is your favorite cash play for this week?
Yeah, for me, it's going to be Brendan Allen at 96. I know he's at a bit of a premium here, but I think he's in a really good style matchup. For one, he's going to have a big size advantage here, a naturally bigger guy for 185 pounds. And I was facing Chris Curtis, who's coming off an impressive debut against Phil Hawes, but a guy that's naturally suited for welterweight. Allen, we know he's an improving striker. I think the work that he's been doing at Sanford MMA is tremendous. Striking used to be very rudimentary. Now he's mixing it up. He's technical. He'll work the body, the legs, the head, and fight at a high pace. And, we have seen him get knocked out. That is a risk. I don't mind taking a shot on Curtis for GPPs, but Allen will have a significant grappling edge, in my opinion. One of the reasons why Curtis was such a big underdog to Hawes was because he gives up takedown often, clinch control. He looks to scramble, but he at times struggles. And I do think that Allen will look to get this fight to the ground, impose his really good jiu-jitsu, maybe even get a rear naked choke. So Allen at 96, he's got the strongest win odds to win on the card. He's got grappling upside, and he's also got a plus 140 inside distance line. So I think that Allen is just a nice, healthy mix of safety and upside. And all things considered, I think he makes for a good cash play.
Yep, I'm right there with you. For me, I'm going to go with Rob Font, 8,400. You have a 5-round fight. He's never been knocked out. I think that's big. I think that's important. And then also the volume of Rob Font. He lands 5.58 significant strikes per minute. I don't see him going for takedowns. If he does go for them, I don't see him getting them. But I just think over the course of 5 rounds, I think he has a nice safe floor with all the volume that he's going to land. So give me Rob Font, 8,400 as a cash play there. Weezy, how about you? What is your favorite cash play?
I'm going with Jimmy Crute. I really do like this spot for him. As bad of fight IQ as he's shown, Jamahal Hill saying shit like, I'm going to test my grappling against Paul Craig, last time out. You just say to yourself, no, Jamahal, no, don't test your fucking grappling against Paul Craig. And then what happened? Went out there and he tested his grappling against Paul Craig. Somebody's getting finished in this fight because somebody's going to do something fucking stupid. And it doesn't matter whether it's Hill or whether it's Crute that does something stupid first. Either you're getting choked out or you're getting knocked out. So I do like Crute, though, here. His wrestling is very high percentage, very efficient, and Hill just doesn't pose any problem on the ground for Crute. So, I think that maybe he might have learned his lesson last time out. He grappled too much with Misha Serkinov and got caught, and he grappled not enough with Anthony Smith and got caught. I think he's going to go out there and do exactly what he did in the Oleksiejczuk fight, which is just not bother boxing at all. Just go out there, make it a grappling match right from minute 1. And then I think if he does that, he'll easily finish this fight by submission.
Yep, I'm with you there. I think it'd be very, very wise for Crute to come out here and wrestle. But we have a couple left here. Our favorite value play. We'll start with you, AJ. What do you like for some value this week?
Yeah, it's going to be Claudio Puelles for me at 8,000. Odds value, pick 'em fight, but he's priced as if he's a slight underdog to Gruetzemacher. And you brought up the age in the reach stats. I think that's very wise, but also stylistically, right? Gruetzemacher, not the greatest defensive wrestler. And Puelles, man, the improvements that this guy has made, we used to see him on tape just not take damage all that well, not show the best wrestling. But, recently against Levitt, he's going out there shooting double legs, going 4-for-4 on takedowns. He's floating very well in top position, taking the back. Gruetzemacher is not the easiest guy to take down and hold down. He does look to scramble. However, I think that Puelles does have the submission grappling edge here. So I like Puelles. I think he's got a strong chance to put up a big score if he wins. I'm always one to target these odds value plays. They're just, good long term. If they hit, great. If not, that's also fine because it's just good. It's good long term. So going to play some Puelles here at 8,000. I think he's got a distinct grappling advantage and could expose Gruetzemacher where he struggled the most.
Yep, I like that call for sure. Weezy, how about you? What's your favorite value play?
Well, I feel kind of like a heel because, I told you to target the Crute Hill fight. And then I told you that my favorite cash play was Jimmy Crute. And now I'm about to tell you that my favorite value play is Jamahal Hill. So I'm just targeting the same fight over and over and over again, which is kind of a dick move by me. But here's what I wrote. Here's why I think that this is a decent value play. This wouldn't be the first time Crute's pulled his stunt. We've went over that, So remember the Smith fight and the Serkinov fight. Crute's decision-making and the skills leave a lot to be desired, and Hill is extremely dangerous with his hands. He has the best or the 8th best inside the distance line on the slate does Jamahal Hill, but he has the 20th highest salary. So, you're getting a ton of value there for a guy that's got a ton of finish upside here. So if you don't have Crute in your lineup, you probably should have Hill in there. And I think he's a great value play. But, you guys touched on some really good ones as well. Font's a great choice because he's going to be going 5 rounds, and he throws a ton of volume. And, AJ's always on point, and I'm big on Puelles. He's going to be in my lineup as well because I think that he's got a high grappling upside here, and the improvements that he's making over there at Sanford MMA are fantastic. So there's a lot of good options here. But, yeah, I went with Hill.
Makes sense to me. For me, my favorite value play is going to be Jeremiah Wells. Last time I checked, I think he was like around plus 145. So some money is coming in on him. So he's plus 145 and he's only 7,100. And I really like a lot what I see from this guy. This is a guy that trains at Renzo Gracie Philly, and with guys like Sean Brady, who Sean Brady just, by the way, beat Jake Matthews. So I think that definitely gives him a little bit of an edge there. And then also in terms of the striking, I think it's very close and competitive, where Matthews is probably the more technical striker. But, Wells, he, blitzes forward with combinations, and he hits very, very hard. I think if there's a finish in this fight, it will be on the Wells side. And I'm curious to see how the grappling looks because both guys are good wrestlers. Both guys are BJJ black belts. But I feel like the strength advantage is going to go to Wells' side here. Wells is very strong, and I've seen his takedown defense tested. It looks really good, and then his offensive wrestling is very good as well. So I just think it's a very close fight, and he's 7,100. I'd rather go to his side than the Jake Matthews side there. So he's my value play. But yeah, I thought we all three gave some really solid ones to look at. And then now the dart throw. For me, I'll start it right off. For the dart throw, I have Jared Vandera as well. Weezy, you talked about him earlier. We do not have a price on him yet, but for all the same reasons you mentioned, I mean, the guy is he's going to look a whole weight class bigger, maybe 2 weight classes. Because like you said, Azamat is a small light heavyweight at 5'10". He's going to have a massive height advantage, a massive reach advantage. And he's not a great fighter, but what he does do good for a heavyweight is he has good cardio, surprisingly. He has good output. And like you said, he's very durable. So yeah, I'll be looking at him for a dart throw there. I don't know how owned he's going to be. I'll have to see what the line or the salaries come out for that fight. But I'm looking at Vandera there. AJ, how about you? What are you looking at for a dart throw?
Yeah, I'm going to go off the board again and go with Mickey Gall at 6,700. And it's another value type recommendation. I mean, it's just like when we see fighters priced at 6,700, we're thinking, oh, they're plus 500, plus 600 underdog, and it's a pay-per-view card. They're fighting Amanda Nunes or something like that. But that's not the case. And, if I'm going to be underweight to Morono, I might as well double down and take some Gall, seeing him at plus 75, plus 175, on the betting line. And how I picture him winning this fight is just with takedowns and control. And we've seen Morono struggle to defend takedowns, 52%. And I still go back to the Jordan Meehan fight, which wasn't that long ago, where he was taken down 3 times and controlled for over 9 minutes. And again, I get it. He's improved since, but I also think Gall's improved since too. I think that Mickey Gall put on the best performance he's ever had that last time against Jordan Williams. I think his striking is looking better. I think his wrestling is better. And even though he's a jiu-jitsu guy, I think his grappling is getting better overall. So I'm more so banking on the improvements here. I'm also, wanting to target the value long-term because that's what we love to target. And yeah, I just think that Gall provides a nice, healthy mix of both. I don't think he'll be highly owned, even coming off of an impressive performance. And I'll just take my chances on Mickey Gall.
Yeah, it makes sense. Like you mentioned, the improvements of Crute have been fantastic, and I think we're probably going to see the best version of him here. Weezy, how about you? What is your dart there for this week?
So for those of you who don't know, Brian Barberena got a new opponent today. His name is Darian Weeks. This dude is a hoss. He's only 5-0. I believe we've got 4 knockout finishes and 1 submission finish, or either that or it's 3 knockouts, 2 submissions. Dude has a wrestling base, but he hits like a truck. And right now, Brian Barberena, 32 years old, he was going to have a great fight against Matt Brown. That was going to be such a banger. I'm really pissed off that Brown got COVID. It's such a shame because that would have been such a great fight. So much fun to watch. But I'm really worried about Brian Barberena. I'm not sure what he's good at this point. There's a lot of tread on the tires, and he's been in a lot of wars. And then, in addition to that, some of the comments coming off the most recent, was it a back surgery, you guys, that Brian just went under?
Yeah, I think so.
So serious back surgery. He comes back for his first fight, and he was telling John Anik, when he was asking him how he felt, he's like, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. You know, I mean, you're getting in a cage, dude, with killers. That's a bad answer after undergoing surgery in the latter part of your career as well. So I think that this kid coming in on short notice, super hungry. He hits like a truck. I think he hits way harder than Barberena does. He's got really heavy hands, you guys. You got to go watch this guy's most recent fight. Unfortunately, it was in LFA. And it was against a guy who took the fight on short notice up a weight class. So you can only put too much stock in the results. But this kid looks like an absolute beast. I think he'll be low owned because he's the last fighter on the card here. Darian Weeks. I don't even know what his salary is, but that's my dart throw.
Yeah, we still actually don't have even a line out for it, so we'll see what the line is on that. But yeah, I watched that fight as well. You sent it to me, Weezy. And then, yeah, like you said, Barberena, I remember him talking about how the doctor said he would never fight again. And then here he is fighting. And yeah, he hasn't looked the same since that Luque fight. Against Ivy, he looked a little iffy. And then that Witt fight was bad as well. But yep, I'm with you there on that one. So now, anybody in the chat have any questions, go ahead and type them now. We'll answer them. We have some extra time here. Only a 3-person show today, but we'll get into our lineups for last week. So usually I have the scores. I wasn't able to get the scores this week, but I'll go ahead and read off the lineups. So Luke had Santos, Yanez, Durden, Chiesa, Garcia, Vieira. So he went 5 out of 6. Weezy had Vieira, Godinez, Pinero, Kulang, Brady, and Lutz. So he went 4 out of 6. AJ got Brady, Durden, Garcia, Lutz, Pinero, and Vieira. So he was, I think that is 6 out of 6, I believe. And then I had Chiesa, Nurden, Beke, Pinero, Santos. Oh, never mind. AJ went 5 out of 6. Lost. I had Chiesa, Nurden, Beke, Pinero, Santos, Vieira, and Yanez. And that was 5 out of 6 as well with Chiesa. So it looks like we all did pretty solid, especially from a cash perspective. So we'll go to the lineups this week. I'll get Luke's lineup later in the week. For me, I'll start it off. I'm going to go with Brendan Allen up top. I'll go with Jimmy Crute as well. I'll take Rob Font, Claudio Puelles, Maki Batolo, and then Jeremiah Wells. But I think that might change once we get these new fighters in there. Weezy, do you have a lineup ready?
I do, but it's not entirely ready. I feel like a prick once again. I'm going to give you 5 out of 6, but I don't know who's going to be the last piece. But we'll start up go from most expensive to least expensive here. I'm going to start with Jimmy Crute, go with Alonzo Menafield, Louis Smolka, Rob Font, and then Claudio Puelles. That leaves me with $7,200, and I will be looking to go with Darian Weeks, Jared Vandera, Mallory Martin, Chris Curtis, or Wells. So I just want to see where Vandera comes in salary-wise, where Weeks comes in salary-wise. But if either of those guys are 72 or 100 or under, I'll be going with Weeks or Vandera. And if not, it'll be Martin, Wells, or Curtis.
Sounds good. AJ, how about you?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Rob Fonts, Mallory Martin, Claudio Puelles, Leonardo Santos, Luis Smolka, and Dusko Todorovic, who we did not touch on.
Sounds good. Yeah, we didn't touch much on that Dusko Patolo fight. Any of you guys have a hot take on that one?
Not really. I kind of like the plus money on Patolo a little bit. I just don't know what to think of Dusko at this point. God, he's just looked so bad the last couple of fights. And the guys that he did beat, I mean, what was it? Daquan Townsend and Teddy Ash. Oh God, it's hard to know whether Dusko is getting better or getting worse at this point in his career. So I kind of like the plus money on Patolo.
I'm more so just banking on a finish. I'm just hoping that somebody finishes the other. They have that reputation of kill or be killed, so to speak, in the octagon. So yeah, that's where I'm going with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, both guys really frustrate me. So we'll see what happens with that fight. But yeah, I think both sides are actually interesting there. I think there could be a finish. I think we touched on pretty much every other fight. So let's get into some questions in the chat here. So a question we saw earlier, early prediction for Sugar versus Paiva. We'll start with you, AG. You have an early prediction for us?
Yeah, I think O'Malley should win. He's got a big head strike battle advantage. Paiva's crazy hittable. And I think Paiva's one of these guys who just got by with his length and range at flyweight. Now that he's facing longer, rangier guys at bantamweight, he's getting hit so much more. And we even saw Kyler Phillips get a debatable 10-8 round in the first round. It's just Phillips, he emptied his gas tank and then got tired. So I think we see a much more composed Sean O'Malley go out there and probably just, honestly, maybe even get a stoppage. Paiva almost went down a couple times there. So O'Malley, elusiveness advantage, just sharpness advantage, just better fighter at range. I think he should roll.
Yeah, I'll go with O'Malley as well, but the dude's like minus like 350, 360, so I don't know if we'll be betting it though. Weezy, how about you? Early prediction?
Yeah, I would bet Paiva. I have no faith at all in O'Malley with those neuro-ass legs of his, man. I could just see one leg kick ending his day and then him claiming he still hasn't lost. So, yeah, minus 300, minus 350, no way I'm going to be touching O'Malley there. But I can't wait to see the fight. I always love watching O'Malley fight. He's super exciting, really fun to watch, a great striker. So, yeah, but I'm kind of rooting for Paiva to kick his ass.
There you go. What is your favorite money line to bet for this card? For me, I'll say Claudio Puelles. I think he's like minus 110 right now. I got him earlier in the week, but I think he'd be the guy. Weezy, have a favorite money line bet?
So I do have a bet as well on Puelles, but I got him at plus 100. But yeah, I like this spot for him, and I also kind of like Louis Smolka this week.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's underrated. I think he brings a really fast pace, and I think Morales, even though he has that wrestling background, I kind of feel like he's one-dimensional, and I think Smolka's going to drown him at some point here. He puts a pace on his opponents, and it's very hard to keep up with. I believe all 5 of Smolka's last fights in the UFC, his last 5 fights have all finished inside the distance, win or lose. So I kind of like Smolka here to get this done inside the distance as well.
Yep, I like Smolka as well. AJ, how about you? Anything that sticks out?
To be honest, and I don't say this that much, not really. I mean, I think that where the odds are right now are about fair. There was some homework that I did, and I do have an official play for the card, but the line has, significantly moved since I played it. So it's not really worth mentioning. But, on a week, these past couple weeks we're talking about, I think the odds are just about right. Yeah, nothing really jumping out to me. I think this is a higher variance card. We talked about some of the explosive finishers, and whenever you have that, it's just another layer of a variance that you got to deal with.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Jack's saying, who do you think is most live for a first-round finish? Weezy, who do you think is most live there?
I'll tell you what the lines say right now, and then I'll tell you what I think. Brendan Allen's got the best first-round line at plus 250. Then it's Crute at plus 255. Then it's Menafield at plus 300. Kape at 375. Matthews at 450. But here's what's really interesting, right? If you go back and you watch a lot of these fighters, one of the guys I think that has the best chance for a first-round finish is Mickey Gall. This guy, his conditioning is absolutely horrible, but he's throwing 100% power into all of his punches, and when he gets the fight to the ground, he really goes after a first-round finish. He's very aggressive with the submissions. And the same thing with Morono. Morono has been throwing a lot of heat lately, and I don't think either of these guys are great defensively. I got a funny feeling that Gall and Morono is going to finish early, and the first-round props aren't even available for that fight yet for some reason, but I think there could be some value there. I think that's a sneaky one to contact. And then also I got a funny feeling Puelles is going to take down Grits and sub him in the first round.
Wouldn't that be awesome? For sure. For me, I guess if I had to pick the guy that is most likely, I'd say Azamat Murzakanov. This guy has 10 wins, 8 of them in the first round. If he does not finish in the first round, actually, don't even think he wins the fight. So for me, I think he could potentially starch Vandera. He'd be the one guy I'd say. AJ, who do you think has the best chance of winning the first?
I would say Santos for similar reasons that Weezy said about Gall and for what you said about Murzakanov. Just we know he doesn't have good cardio, but he's a dangerous striker and he's a dangerous submission grappler. And we know that Guida shot on Charles Oliveira, like that happened, So I think it's just kind of in Guida's natural instinct to wrestle even against these submission grapplers. When you're doing that against a guy like Santos within the first 5 minutes or so, it could spell a finish. So I'm going to go with Santos. I think he could even maybe club and sub Guida. We saw Guida rocked by Jim Miller prior to that guillotine choke, and this dude has a lot of power in his hand, so I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, 100% agree there. What is up, Sosa? Well, a couple more questions here, guys, and we'll head out. Thoughts on Maki and Knight as dogs? I expect them to score high finishes if they win. Weezy, thoughts on Maki as a dog? What is he, 7,600?
Yeah, Maki Pitolo is 7,600. I like him as a dog. Man, he had a great performance against Marquez and just got caught at the end of it. And I know that I was really heavy on Marquez that week in DraftKings, and I was already counting my money that I was going to lose, until Marquez got that late submission in that fight. So, I think Patolo up at 185, where he's not cutting all this weight and draining himself, has looked good, and Todorovic is just, there's just not, with Dusko, there's nothing that tells me, oh, I want to lay juice on Dusko Todorovic against anybody in the 185-pound division. So I can't do that. I like Patolo as a dog. And as far as Knight goes, Menifield's not exactly this guy that you can say, oh yeah, I'm loading up on Menefield. He's got holes too. He's still fairly new to the game. Both of these guys are kind of like carbon copies of each other. So if you're on that Knight side, I don't hate it. They're both really strong. They both hit really hard. It's just that, Knight's probably a little more committed to the grappling than Menefield is. But Menefield's got good takedown defense, so I see why he's the favorite. But yeah, if I had to choose one of the two, I'd probably go with Patolo.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. AJ, any thoughts on Maki or Knight? Which one you like better? What do you think in here?
I would prefer Patolo just based on the bad defense we've seen of Todorovic. I mean, we know that Menefield doesn't have great defense himself, but Todorovic just leaves a ton of openings, both as a wrestler and defensive striker. But as you guys touched on, I mean, it's one of those dog spots where it's like, okay, it's a high variance fight. These fighters that they're facing, they're favorites. They clearly have holes in their game, like that sort of thing. Like they could beat them because they have holes, and maybe they happen to be the ones that in this simulation of the fight plays out, they exploit them. So staring into the barrel of variance, we know that that's, what wins you big in GPP. So it's definitely a riskier option, but it is one where if we see the fight play out and both guys, Knight and Patolo, win, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I totally agree. Hype MMA, what is up? Oi, oi, oi. Indigo, what is up, Indigo? All right, last question here, if I can find it. This is for Weezy. I know you looked into this fight. I don't know if you have yet, AJ, but what do you think of betting weeks by KO prop? I guess my only concern would be Barberena. Although he looks like a little bit of wash, he's still very durable.
Very durable, yeah. And but you gotta, sometimes that's the best time to bet somebody by KO is when they're coming in on short notice, like this guy is. Like, he's got nothing to lose. This guy's got 5 professional fights, and he's stepping up to fight a UFC veteran in Brian Barberena, who's fought guys like Luque and some of the best guys in the division here. So, you get the feeling that if you're this kid's coach, what are you telling him? Are you telling him to kind of start slow and feel it out? No, just throw bombs and land one of them. And then if he goes down, swarm on this hoe until the ref pulls you off of him. So I like the KO prop for this dude. And if you see how hard he hits, you'll probably like it too. But we have no idea where this line is even going to open yet, just on the straight money line. So who knows where this thing's going to open, where it's going to be. But yeah, if it's big plus money, I might sprinkle it because this kid looks very dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, Vicente Luque dropped him, Randy Brown dropped him, knocked him out, and then Jason Witt, of all people, dropped him. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible. AJ, you looking at that fight at all?
Yeah, I'm going to be interested to see what the fight doesn't go or under 2.5 rounds is because one thing we know as bettors is like, you want to basically, get the trend at a halt before it actually like comes to fruition, right? So you guys brought up like great points. Barberena is historically durable, but you also brought up Brady. He has been hurt more and more in recent fights. So is he the same durable guy that went almost 15 minutes with Luque? I lean no, just based on seeing him get hurt by Wits. Like we brought up beforehand, just the injuries and all these unknowns. And he's facing a very heavy hitter who is basically playing with house money, right? He could go out here, just land a big shot on Barberena. We've just seen him get hurt, and he's always had bad defense, right? So I would be willing to like bet against the trend than bet on the trend, so to speak, like bet on Barberena's durability. I'd rather bet against Barberena's durability than bet on it, if that makes sense, considering what we've seen out of him recently.
No, it makes total sense for sure. But we'll head out of here. Before we do so, we'll give our quick picks. I'll start this one off. Up top, starting the main event, I will go with Rob Font. Co-main event, I'll go with Brad Riddell. Give me Leonardo Santos, Jimmy Crute, Brendan Allen. I haven't looked into this one as much as I wanted to, but I might be looking at Darian Weeks as an underdog here. Maki Batolo as a dog. Give me Jeremiah Wells with the upset. Manel Kape, Cheyanne Vlismus, don't feel great about that one. Alonzo Menefield, Claudio Puelles, give me Jared Vandera, give me Alex Morono, and then give me Luis Smolka. Weezy, do you have your quick picks?
Yes, I'm going to go with Font, Brad Riddell, Leonardo Santos, Jimmy Crute, Brendan Allen, Darian Weeks, Maki Pizzolo. I haven't really looked into Matthews Wells yet. I'm not going to give you a pick on that one. I'm going to go with Kape. I will go with, hang on, Vlismas, Menefield, Puelles, Vandera, Morono, and Smolka.
And you, AJ?
I'm going to go with Rob Font, Brad Riddell, Leonardo Santos, Jim Crute, Brendan Allen, Brian Barberena, Dusko Todorovic, Manel Kape, Jake Matthews, Cheyanne Vlismas, Alonzo Menefield, Claudio Puelles, Mirzakhanov, can't pronounce that first name, Alex Morono, and Luis Smolka.
Sounds good. So we'll kick it around. Weezy, I know you're going live tonight. Let the people know where they can find you and what you have going on throughout the week and your show tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. 10 o'clock tonight at 10 o'clock Central Time will be just the tip on my channel on YouTube, Uncle Weezy. I'll be breaking down all 15 of these fights from a statistical perspective, and I'll give you all the stats that I have. They'll be available in the description of that video. You can find me on Pub Sports Radio right here every Tuesday for the Draftkings show, and then every Sunday night with DFS by the numbers for stat diggers. And yeah, other than that, I do balls deep breakdowns of fights on my channel, and I'll be going live tonight at 10 o'clock. You guys show up. Let's have some fun, discuss all 15 of these fights.
Sounds good. I will for sure be in the chat watching, and I cannot wait to see who the ass shaving of the week will be. Really looking forward to that. AJ, let them know where they can find you, what you have going on throughout the week this week.
Yeah, Bellator, last Bellator event of the year, to my knowledge, is on Friday. So getting content posted for that. All but one breakdown is up. Twitter, you can find me at AJ_Shulo. I changed my profile picture, but I promise that's still me. I just looked into an NFT today and switched things up. But yeah, cheers, guys. Awesome doing this with you. Good luck to everybody in the chats. Let's do this thing. This is, as we mentioned, this is the last month of the year, and we've got 3 events left. So let's finish strong.
Let's do it. Yep, you can follow me on Twitter, DFS_numbers, Instagram, DFS by the numbers. You can find me here on Pub Sports Radio on Sundays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and potentially Saturday as well. So that's about it, guys. Please leave a like on the way out. Subscribe here to Pub Sports. Go check these guys out as well. Thank you, Philip. Thank you, Nate, for hanging out. Jack Attack, Sosa, all you guys. Adam in the chat as well. Blockbed, shout out to all you guys for hanging out. See you soon, and good luck for UFC Vegas 44. Let's win some money.